top five, no debating. Top five, top five, top five.
Top five, top five. Kyle? Top five. Top five, top five. We're going to talk about our top five teams in the NFL right now. It's always a great time, always a great discussion with Kyle and I. So let's kick it off. I believe I started last week, Kyle. So now it's up to you.
I'm gonna start something new on top five. I'm not gonna go into it. I'm not gonna elaborate on it, but 7 and 6 are now gonna be my honorable mentions. So number 5, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Honorable mentions, the Broncos and Texans, which means they're knocking on the door. Jacksonville's playing really good football. I have Jags at 4. It's the Chiefs at 5. Sorry.
Oh,
I didn't mean to.
Wow.
I didn't mean to.
I'm literally ruining the sanctity of top 5.
I got the Chiefs at 5. I think
at 5.
The Chiefs are playing whatever. They have Mahomes, so they're going to be on the top 5. Defense is really, really good. Finally, the offense putting up 31 points. I think they're trending in the right direction. If I did make a list of 5 teams I don't want to play right now, Chiefs are on the list.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. My number 5 team, and you asked about it earlier, is actually the Ravens. The Ravens, again, you talked about, you had them on your top 5. Are they still in there? Yes, they are at number 5 because the teams above them have moved up significantly because of their play over this last week. The Ravens struggled against the Chargers. Their defense was able to kind of put them away, and their defense is good. The defense is really good. It's just, we talked about Mark Andrews and how this offense kind of looks a little out of whack, and it seems to be more on Lamar Jackson. So they fell to my number 5. But hey, being in the top 5 in the NFL, still pretty damn good. And they're the AFC division conference leaders as of today.
All right, number 4, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Whoa, no way.
I think the Jaguars win over the Texans is a really big win. I think Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson have great chemistry. And the reason Jacksonville, I think, could even climb in the next weeks is because it's like Trevor Lawrence just found out that Calvin Ridley is really good at football. Like, you see how – because Calvin Ridley I said this 2 years ago. Calvin Ridley is the best route runner in the NFL, period. And he had that suspension, and he kept himself in football shape. He has the ability to be the NFL leading wide receiver. Like, he has that kind of talent. His ceiling is ridiculous. He has Hall of Fame ceiling. And we thought Trevor Lawrence and him were just going to kind of hit it off right away. It's not the case, but it's never too late. It's never too late, because here we are in late November, and Calvin Ridley and Trevor Lawrence look like they have this great chemistry. Jacksonville's defense is good enough to get the job done. Like, they remind me of the Bengals defense when they went to the Super Bowl. It's like, it's not the greatest defense in the NFL, but it's good enough to go to a Super Bowl if you have a great offense, right? That's like kind of how the Chiefs been doing it the last couple of years. But I think Jacksonville's even better than those defenses. They're a very complete team. They win all of their tough games. They lost to the 49ers. That was an ugly loss, but that feels like a long time ago now.
I like it. My number 4, and Kyle might hate it. I think he might. I'm going to do with the 49ers at number 4. Last week, I had them at... See, I told you Kyle would hate it. Last week, I didn't even have the 49ers on my top 5. Kyle, you some bitch. So I don't want to hear it. This week, though, after a tough NFC West division matchup, they destroyed the Seattle Seahawks. And I love it. He's got the Brock Purdy shirt on. I love it.
No, wait a minute. What were you saying?
I did not have the 49ers on my top 5 last week. They jumped all the way to 4. If I wanted to, they could be at 5 right now, and you'd hate me even more. But the 49ers destroyed the Seattle Seahawks. They're starting to roll again, and they're going to, if they continue to roll, man, they're going to make it back up to number 1 if they continue to beat teams the way they've been beating them, kind of like they were earlier in the season, right? So they're number 4. They weren't in my top 5. Dog shit. So 49ers at number 4.
Oh God, that's definitely the worst. Like in the history of the show, that is your worst take.
I don't want to hear it.
Dude,
I said the
this
Steelers
is
are
a
going to win
bad
the
one.
division last year.
This is maybe worse because we'll let the people decide. I don't know.
We'll let
Maybe
the
you guys
viewers.
got the 49ers at 4. Maybe I'm really high on them, but
You are.
I
Number
wish
3.
I was high on pot and news. At number 3, I got the Eagles. I thought the Eagles, like I'm really happy that they're comfortable winning games the way they are, but it's not ideal and it's a little bit concerning. Now they should have been the way the first half went. They're lucky they were only down what they were down. They should have been down a lot more. Yeah, they were able to come back and play hero and go to overtime. It's like if you're going to be 1 or 2, you got to just be better. Now I know Buffalo's played a really good game. But it's more for me that I'm seeing this every week. It feels like, and there's some other teams that are not doing that every week. And I think it was time, even without the head-to-head matchup, for me to make a switch. So Eagles come in at 3. And if you're saying no way, dude, they should be at 2, then I would tell you, like, I don't disagree. Like, obviously I went back and forth with this one a lot. But it's a top five, and it's going to change every single week for the most part. And I'm just making a switch this week.
All right. I respect it. My number 3 team is going to be the team that was down 14-0 in the second quarter and came back and destroyed the Broncos and destroyed the Raiders. I'm going with the Chiefs at number 3. Their defense has done a lot of the talking this season, and it continues to be a point of emphasis for this team. We're going to talk about the defense until they lose a very, very important game, which will probably be in the playoffs. We're going to be talking about this Chiefs defense and how good they are this entire season, and Mahomes and what they did after all those dropped passes against the Eagles, what they were able to do in this game. Only 1 dropped pass. Again, I mentioned it earlier. Good enough for number 3 on top 5.
All right. At number 2, I got the Dallas Cowboys.
Woo!
You talked about it. Like Dallas is playing Thursday night. They're going to beat Seattle. And then week 14, they're playing Philly. So, we're going to find out how crazy this is one way or another in the next 2 weeks. But the Dallas Cowboys are murdering everybody that they play. Like Mike McCarthy he's a good play caller, I guess. We weren't sure in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
We talked about Aaron Rodgers maybe carrying him. The Cowboys have flipped a switch, and it's crazy to think with the way they're playing right now, there's no way that this team would have 3 losses. Had they not lost to Arizona, I don't think they would have lost to Arizona, and I don't think they would have lost. They lost the 49ers, but there was one more game that they would have won, and I think they would be tied with Philly. And if they have the same record as Philly, then you would look at it like, okay, well, who would win head-to-head? Right now, I'm not sure, but the game will be in Dallas in 2 weeks, and me putting Dallas at 2 probably gives you a hint of who I think wins that game.
The Broncos, yeah, for sure. My number 2 is also the Cowboys. I've also got the Cowboys. Again,
Rick agreed with me. Boo!
What a piece of shit! What a follower. No, I for all the same reasons you said, man. The way they've been playing, the way they've been murdering teams. It's just that now it's starting to get like now they're going to play Philly, right? They've been able to beat the Commanders, and they've been able to beat the Giants. And they've been able to just demolish the Giants, by the way. Sorry, Bill. But they're going to get to play Philly now. And these games are going to be very crucial to how we view Dallas and the Cowboys going forward, going into the playoff picture. They're going to be very crucial. But Dak has been playing his ass off. The defense is playing their ass off. CeeDee Lamb, even Brandon Cooks has been doing really well. And we talked about Brandon Cooks pretty extensively over the offseason about how he can't stay in certain places under certain coaches. He seems to have found a fit here in Dallas under Mike McCarthy. We'll see if that happens. Either way, Mike McCarthy in that offense rolling right now. Cowboys are number 2.
All right. And number 1, I got the 49ers. I think the 49ers are the best team in the NFL. I don't really know if I mean, we're going to need a head-to-head game. It's the NFL. I think if 49ers play Dallas or Philly, I think all three, no matter how you combine those games, they're close games. I would just feel like San Francisco is just so much better, man. Like they are legitimately, they've been back for a while now. They destroyed the Jags. They flipped the switch, and Seattle never had a chance to win that game, dude. Seattle's not a bad team, but the 49ers are a great team. I don't think this is even an argument. I know it is because you don't have them at 1, but I really feel that I'm surprised that we didn't agree on this. I'm surprised that the 49ers are so high on my list. And, you know, we've had times where like I got them at 1, you got them at 2, or I got them at 2, you got them at 3. But we're pretty far apart in this one. You got the 49ers at 4.
Yeah.
And I got him at 1. So I'm intrigued to know you're number 1. But Brock Purdy is playing really good football. The defense is playing great. McCaffrey, dude, he should be up for MVP. He should be up for MVP.
I agree.
They're airing it out to Brandon Ayuk, and Debo's running the ball again. Like they had a lot of designed runs with Debo. Once they acquired CMC, they kind of slowed down with Debo runs. Debo was running a lot. They're getting everybody involved. George Kittle's one of the best in the league. Like the 49ers can win the Super Bowl this year, and I think they should actually.
So my number 1 team, and I think you know, it's the Eagles. They're 10-1. They're the best team in the league record-wise. I will admit to that. Record-wise, they are the best team in the league. They've beaten so many good teams. They've beaten teams in the AFC. They've beaten teams in the NFC. And they've beaten them, you know, minus the Jets, which, Jesus Christ, they would be undefeated right now in week 12 if it wasn't for the fucking Jets. But they've beaten a lot of teams. And while it's been close, they've beaten the Chiefs, they've beaten the Bills, they've beaten not the Bills, or not the 49ers, the Bills, the Chiefs, they've beaten the Cowboys, they've beaten on their division. And next week, they're going up against the 49ers. So my 1 is going against your 1 next week in week 13. So that's going to be a very good game. I don't necessarily I don't hate the way they're winning. It's very reminiscent of the Vikings last year where you're like, how the fuck are they at 13 wins when they've been outscored or when these games have been by 3-4 points, right? I can see why that's worrying. The thing is, right, like with Jalen Hurts, the way his mind is set, the way this team is, you go into the games and you kind of said it, which is the feeling across the league, I think. Even if the Eagles are down 2 scores, it's all right. We still got an entire half to play. They got booed going into halftime this past week against the Bills. And what happened? Jalen Hurts came out and absolutely annihilated the Bills in that second half and in overtime, right? They found themselves in a situation where they needed to kick a field goal to get in overtime, but still, it was like you saw Jalen Hurts on the sideline just be pissed that he couldn't win in regulation. I can see why the worry is there about these are close games. But I kind of like it because when you look at the competition they've had, they go into the playoffs. They got to beat the NFC teams, and they, go into the Super Bowl. They can beat an AFC team in the Super Bowl. They can continue to beat AFC teams the rest of the season if need be. I'm going with the Eagles and the way they can just kind of crawl and kick and punch and just, claw their way to these wins. I like the resiliency.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're the best record in the NFL, and they're winning most of their games. So, I mean, they're definitely that game is going to be insane. The Eagles and the 49ers. And this comment from Bill, I wanted to say, I addressed this actually last week because I talk about how the NFC is not good. And then like Bill says, 3 of the team on your list are NFC teams. This is the best way I can say it. 1 through 3, like if you take the NFL, not AFC or NFC, the top 3 teams in the NFL are in the NFC. Then there's a huge drop where maybe you could say Detroit, right?
Yeah,
But then there's a huge drop where you get to, Commanders and Giants and Bears and even the Vikings right now, like the Cardinals and even the Seahawks aren't that great right now. So with the AFC though, you don't have a team in 1, 2, or 3, but if you go from 4 to 15, load that bitch with AFC teams. You know what I mean?
100%.
And that is why when you look at the NFC, there's a team that is 9-1, 10-1. There's a team that's 9-2. There's a team that you go to the AFC, everyone's 6-5. You know what I mean? Because if the NFC was a division where the Cowboys were playing a team like Philly or like the 49ers every single Sunday, which is what the AFC is.
Yeah.
And not like they're not that great as those teams, but when we're talking about just level of competition, it would be equivalent to that. So you got, the Steelers playing the Browns. You got the Browns playing the Broncos. The Broncos playing the Texans, and the Texans playing.
Competition is ridiculous.
The competition's ridiculous. So yes, the best 3 teams in the NFL are in the NFC. However, the AFC is 4 times more challenging. Now, if you're talking about winning the Super Bowl, maybe, or getting to the Super Bowl, you can make a realistic argument that's harder for a team in the NFC that's not named the Cowboys, 49ers, or Eagles to make the Super Bowl, where in the AFC it looks like anybody could rise up and get it. So anybody could really get it in the AFC, but there's just so many teams that we don't like. The amount of teams in the AFC that could do it is a lot longer list than the NFC.
Yep, and you heard it here first. Kyle quoted, "Anybody could get it." So
anybody could get it.
Anybody could get it. So what you're saying is the AFC is all mid. Got it.
No, they're all great. They're all good.
Oh,
they're all 90 overalls. Right?
Yeah, they are all 90 overalls. Yeah, really, when it gets to it, and thank you for that comment, Bill, because it does kind of like get weird when we do talk about it, and we're like, well, yeah, the NFC, blah 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 blah. Oh, by the way, top 3 teams of our top 5 NFC teams. No, and that's exactly what Kyle said is correctly. Like 1 through 3, like those top 5s, 3 of those are NFC teams, and you still got the Jags there for me. That 6th, 7th team that is still loaded, really, when you look at it with AFC teams. But after that, it's like Broncos, it's like fucking Colts, it's Steelers, it's Brown, it's all Ravens, it's all these teams, and you're just like, okay, well, when's the next time an NFC team is gonna get? Oh, not till 15. Okay, you know what I mean? Because we got Arizona Cardinals, we've got the Panthers, we've got the Bears, we've got the Giants. Sorry, Bill. Those are the worst teams in the NFL right now. Commanders, all NFC teams. So when you're top heavy, you're going to be bottom heavy for the NFC.
Even in the Broncos 1-5 start, they're undefeated against NFC opponents.
Yeah.
During the 1-5 start. That, I mean, you look at conference records, look at AFC versus NFC head-to-head matchups. AFC is winning all of their games against the NFC. Besides those 3 teams, the AFC is better than whatever the NFC has.
Right, a lot of it. And Bill's saying, I'm just having fun, guys. And you're absolutely right. It is fun, but it's also like a really good point to make during these debates. Though. Exactly. It's a great point to bring up because, again,
we look like hypocrites.
Yeah, we look like hypocrites. You're right, 100%. But when your bottom heavy teams and the worst teams in the league are the Panthers, the Giants, the Bears, the Commanders,
Don't
the Cardinals.
Forget about the Patriots, though.
No, the Patriots are down there, and they're like one
Patriots
of
our AFC's. Giants or not Giants, Cardinals, or Panthers. There are Panthers.
There are Panthers, the Patriots.
But even when you look at the AFC playoff picture, they're the only team like out of it. Like everybody else, like that whole entire AFC North is in it, right? The AFC West, you can make a case that the Chargers are the worst team. Then the Raiders probably out of it, but then Broncos, Chiefs, the AFC South. You got the Colts, the Texans, and the Jags all playing really good football right now. And who's the Titans are out of it. but still 3 of 4 in that division. And then you go AFC East, you got Buffalo and Miami
Dolphins.
and the Jets and the
Patriots.
Jets and Patriots are the only 2 out of it. So even in the worst division, 50% of the teams are playoff teams. You know what I mean? The AFC West or the AFC East. At this point in the season, you could say those are the 2 worst AFC divisions, and they still have 50% of the teams fighting for the playoffs or in the playoffs. So the way I look at it is like the AFC is going to be a pain in the ass to get out of. But on the bright side, anybody can rise up and take it. It's anybody's to have. Who wants to be great? We have a ton of really good. Who's going to rise up and become great?
And, you know, the AFC has just
definitely gone through some tests, gone through some trials.
All right, thank you guys. This is our top 5.
Top 5, no debating. Top 5, top 5, top 5.